Hi everybody, it's Lene. Thanks so much for stopping by my channel today. I have another file folder project to show you. And let me first show you the prototype, I think, and then we'll go through the paper pack, which as you can see is sunflowers. This time I am using the tab on the file folder that's in the center here. And I always avoid this one. I always have the tab be at the top or the bottom. And I thought, I've got to figure out a way to use these because frankly, I have a whole bunch of them and we got to use them. So, I mean, you could cut it off, but that kind of defeats the purpose of having the tab, I feel. I don't know. So here's my prototype. So we've got these two little small tabs, a page and a page, a little tuck spot pocket. Then there's a pocket right here in the center. Turn the page, and there's another pocket here, and a page and a page. This is really simple. A couple of cuts, a couple of folds, and we're good to go. I'm going to show you how to do this. Let's take a look at this paper pack. This one is Sunflowers 12 by 12 pattern cardstock from hot off the press is the manufacturer, and it's available at paperwishes.com. The link for that is down below. So you're getting 2 of each of these papers, which gorgeous. And I love the stenciling on top of the wood. As usual, the borders on these are amazing. Hot off the press is just kind of really known for that. Look at that all over print. I love this one with the smaller border, the wood grain, and the stenciling on here. Really nice. I love that dark wood as well. Beautiful border. And then the chicken wire is so cute on this one. And then this is great for the 4 corners. And then this really yellow gold. And then this one with the white stenciling here, and then the border, and then you can see the stenciling along the corner, the bottom edge rather here. And then this with the beautiful stenciling, the script writing, and the chicken wire. And then you've got a whole sheet of these cute little greetings and cutouts. And then you got another set, just like I showed you. All right. Now I'm not sure which paper I'm going to use yet, so we're just going to put this aside. Let's start with our fold. So what we're going to do is I'm going to open up this one. Now there is a fold right down the center of this one. Don't pay any attention to that. That's just when I was messing around with my prototype. So the first thing we're going to do is open this up, and if there's writing on the inside of yours, you can get these at the Dollar Tree in a pack. These are just ones that I got a great big box of these at the thrift store sometime in the past year, and I've just been working my way through them. This is so easy, you guys. We're just going to take this. Notice the tab is over here. It doesn't really matter which direction. If there's writing on yours, we're going to keep that on the inside, and we are folding everything to the top. Just to that top edge. It's nice to have a bone folder or use the back of a butter knife, whatever you have. Just like that. Get a really nice score on it. Okay, and then the next thing we're going to do is fold this side and this side are going to get folded together, like towards the center. So we're going to go like this, and you'll notice here on my prototype when I fold it that these little tiny flaps, and I'll tell you how to accommodate those because this is where we are right now. We have this like sort of weird little half flap, and I just trimmed them. But you're just going to fold it so that these tabs are going over the center line. So we're going to fold it like this and like this. And then we're going to just give that a really good fold. Same thing on this side. We're going to take this one. See, on this side, on my prototype, we're only folding this edge right here just to the line. We're not crossing the line on this one. Okay, and this is that center line. There we go. This is where that bone folder really helps. Get that really good crease on the fold. All right, so now Then we can take this part right here. We're going to let that just push forward. Okay. So let's go ahead and score that center. Let's go ahead and fold that center as well. Just going to go through everything and make sure we've got a really good fold. All right, so now it's going to look like this. It's going to look like a bird. We're going to fold it just like this. Now, this little tab, we're going to do a little cutting on that. So we want it to look like a proper little tab folder. Now to do this, you can take just like a scrap folder, okay, like this, and you can just turn it around and you can trace it. So we're just going to do that. We're just going to cheat a little bit and just go like that. That's all you got to do. And then we're just going to cut that on that line. Okay, so now we have a proper little tab, 2 tabs right there. Now this bottom edge right here, this fold, we're going to cut that and just sort of separate that. Got my scissors. And we're also going to cut it here on the back as well. So we're leaving these 2 folds intact. So let's just take a pencil and just put X's on those so we remember, don't cut those. I'm going to open this up. And I think what I'm going to do is, I always like to ink the edges of the lines we're cutting so you guys can see. There we go. And then we're just going to cut right on that line, right to this first, or the second little box here. Think of these as boxes. 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got 8 boxes. And this one we're going to do the same. All right, we're going to put that back. Remember, this goes forward as it closes. And then you open that. These are separated now. This one is together still. And then you can open these pages. Now right here, we want to cut a little V shape right here. That's what we did here. Like that. That's the little V shape. Let me grab my ruler. I've been picking up these little old-timey rulers, the ones that are like made in the USA, Westcott rulers. Did you have these rulers when you were in school as a kid? I find them at the thrift store, and if they're in good shape, I pick them up. I just think they're charming. I have them all over my little craft space. All right, so now what we're going to do, this top part is opened right here, and then we're going to just draw a line from not quite the corner here. Let's move over about, half an inch or so, and we're going to just go just like this. And then on this side, we're going to do the same. Let's see, how far did I measure over here? 3/4 of an inch from that side, and about 3/4 of an inch that side, just a little. And we're going to go like this. Okay. Just made sort of that V shape. And then we're just going to take our scissors and cut that right there. Right there. All right, so now when we open this up, we have a little tuck spot right here, And then we still have this pocket that we're going to glue together at the top there. So we're going to wait on that. Now I still have these little V-shaped flaps. If I cut this in half, I can take these and I can put them like here or here, and I can use these as little tuck spots on other pages. So we're just going to hold on to those. All right, so that's where we are so far. Here, remember, we have our little pocket up here, and we could take a little notch and we could cut a notch up there with a circle punch. But let me figure out what kind of paper we're going to use, and I'll be back. Haven't quite picked my papers yet, but I did want to stop, and I'm going to go ahead and ink the edges of this. This is cocoa bean ink, little applicator tool, and I'm just going around the edges of both the front and the back. Don't worry about the inside part here, just the fronts and the back. Well, that's not true. Some of the insides, like all of the little folded pages on the inside. It's just nice to get some ink there because the paper is going to get glued in here and it's just going to have a little color up next to it. So I'm going to continue to do that, and then I have a 1.5 inch circle punch. Okay, I'm going to take this, remember this shape that we had going? I'm going to take this and put this together where this pocket is going to form. And then I'm going to take my circle punch, and I want to make sure to stay away from these little pocket flaps. And I'm just putting a little notch right here. So I'm making sure there's equal space between here and here. Need to move it over a little bit. And as you can see, I'm only using about 1/4 of the punch. Just like that. And I do that so that if this is a gift, that whoever receives that knows, okay, there's something going on there. There's probably like a pocket there. Because I find when you have pockets like that, they're kind of hidden. Sometimes you want them hidden, and sometimes you want the recipient to know that it's a pocket. I'm going to finish inking this, and I'll come back with paper. Back with some paper choices. So really with this collection, you need to decide whether or not you want to go with the white paper, okay, and have a little bit of the white wood, or you want to go with the dark wood. And I really think I like the dark wood on this occasion, okay? So I really like this one. I also love the border that's on the back, and I think that border would work really well being a smaller print on the inside here. So I'm going to put this border on the right-hand side, and I'm going to use this border right here on the front cover. And I'll give you the dimensions for that, for cutting down the paper, so that you have an idea about that. There really wasn't a lot of dimensions to be giving you for the folder, to do the file folder. So if you follow along with that, shouldn't have any problem folding that. The other thing we need to do before we start gluing down paper is take care of the binding a little bit. That's going to kind of happen in 2 parts. So if you don't take care of the binding, when you flip through this, it just kind of all separates and falls apart. And if you want an accordion fold like this, by all means, do that. But I want to keep this as neat and tidy as we can. So I'm going to put just like a line of glue here, and then a line of glue here, just to keep these inside pages together. And then right back here, remember we've got this is kind of like this M shape right here. To accommodate for that, when we're all done, we can glue a little bit of paper here, like this, for the binding. And that'll keep everything together, like this. That'll keep that pocket together. We just need to remember to put a line of glue at the bottom of that center pocket. Don't let me forget to do that, you guys. And then back here we're good. All right, so that's where we're going with that. So let's start off with doing this little line of glue, just to give it a little chance. Now you don't want the glue to go all over your book here. You just want to put it right along this little brown line here that we've got going. And then let it dry for a while. like half an hour, so that it's just really well done there. You don't want to be, I'm going to be flipping this book around a lot, cutting paper, and I don't want to disrupt that. Just like that. All right, and then this part we're going to leave to the end. I'm afraid if I put like glue here, that's going to get in the way of this pocket here. But by all means, I mean, you could do just a little, let's just tack it down. It's not going to be effective. I don't know, maybe it will be. Just a little bit right there, just to keep everything in place. And then, okay, Lene, remember, you need to glue a line of glue right here at the bottom of that center pocket to get that glued in place. All right, I'm just going to take something heavy and just put it on top of this to let everything glue, and then I'm going to cut down some paper. All right, for the front cover, I wanted to use a little bit, you know I had to do it, use a little bit of red and white gingham binding here, and I didn't want it to go into and cover up my border so much. So I moved my border over a little bit, and then this is the measurement for that. So the front cover paper is 4 1/8 inches wide by 5.5 inches tall. Then I did the same on the back, but we have this little notch right here. So this is 3.5 inches wide by 5.5 inches tall. And then the gingham binding is 1 1/4 inches wide. Now, if you don't want to, you're not worried about your paper with the border here, then you could make this measurement just like 1/4 inch wider. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna put some glue here and then on the other side. And then it's nice to take, I should have showed you this part before I put the glue on it. Okay, I'll just lean it up like that. To take your paper strip and then just kind of round it, kind of like this. We're just rounding it a little bit so that it's got that going on. And then we're going to put that right here. And then we want to try to match it up so that it's about the same width on each side. Just like that, like that. Straight piece there. And this gingham is also from Paper Wishes Hot Off the Press, and it's called Gingham number 1, 12 by 12 gingham. And I'll put the link for that down below as well. And then we are going to put a cute little something along this raw edge of paper, and then we can just take some scissors and then just trim that just like that. So when you open that, you want it to have a little bit of space. I'm gonna make sure I didn't glue any pages together. There we go. And I think that's gonna look really sweet. All right, so let's do some inside pages. So on the outside here, you'll notice I've put little bits of gingham, and for that I just took 1/2 inch wide strips of gingham and then glued them to the tab, trimmed them down a little bit, waited for them to dry, and then trimmed them. So I'm going to do the back side of this one, and while we are doing the rest of the book, it'll dry. So I'm just doing it just like this around the edge, covering the surface there. And then I just want to place that just like that, so it's even with the top edge of the tab. And then grab tiny scissors, are the best to use. We're just going to trim that, and then we're just going to let that dry for a few minutes. Save that one for another tab. So these inside pages, I'm going to show you the papers that I used. These white pages I was able to cut down and use each of these for these pages. All right, this is this tab, this corner rather, that I cut off here, and I just covered it with gingham, so now it's a little pocket right there. And then we still have to cover this page right here, so I want to show you, and don't worry, I'm going to give you the dimensions on these. But for this page, I just took some paper and made sure that it was going to fit on the inside, leaving that border. So this particular one was about 4¼ inches wide. Sometimes your paper is going to be 3½ by 5½. It's always going to be 5½ inches. 3½ by 5½ inches, and then I should have put 3¼ by 5½ inches first, and then 4½ inches. So 3¼ 3½, 4½, and then in this particular case, this one is 4¼ Okay, so you really have these different widths to accommodate because of the tabs and because of where we glued the binding. So the best thing to do is cut your paper to the widest paper, which in this case is going to be 4½ inches by 5½ inches. And then you can just sort of lay it there and just be like, oh, I need to cut a little bit more off if you need to. But so it's 3¼ 3½, 4½, 4¼ 4½ inches are kind of the possibilities there. So for this one, you just find the little corner that matches up right here. Oops, I need to do it like this. All right, and then pair it up with the paper that's already cut to size. And then we're just going to trim that away. And then this could fit right in here. This one was a little too short. It was just a scrap, but I wanted to show you that. So I've gone ahead and I've cut it down just like that. That's how you accommodate for that cutaway corner. And then we're just going to glue this right there. Now here you could take some gingham paper and you could glue something in here, like another little quarter or something, but we're going to put something decorative there. So this one's already done. I still have to cover the back tabs here, but this is what these tabs look like. You'll see that it goes all the way to the back cover. So let's just take a final flip through here. Oh, I forgot to mention, I used the white paper with the 4/4, and I also use this one that has this one and this one, and these two papers with the white on it more than covered all of these pages on the inside. And I thought, how cute if you did want to use this as a journal. You could do that right here. You could add photos to this. So now is the super fun part for me. I'm going to embellish this. I'm going to finish cutting these tabs, covering these tabs, and then trimming the paper like this. You'll notice I'm turning it over to the opposite side to trim it so that I can see where that paper is to be cut away. And you have to cover one side and trim it and then cover the other side. It doesn't work to like, oh, I'll save time and cover them both, because then you can't follow along the edge. So just do one at a time, letting them dry in between. You don't want to get your scissors all gluey. So yeah, here's our little pages that are covered. As I said, I still have to do a little bit more covering right here with the gingham. And then this one right here has this little corner there from here has been covered with gingham. I have one more corner, so I'm going to cover it with gingham, and I'll put it in one of these pages. I think I'm going to put it right here. But I think that's really sweet just to have a little gingham on there as well. Or you could use, you know, some leftover this. But all of this extra paper, we have all these little scraps and things, we're going to turn those into tags. I think I want to do something to the cover here before we go on much farther, and I've got these beautiful little, these are white fancy border dazzle stickers available at Paper Wishes, and you just peel them off like this. They just look like lace, but they don't have any bulk to them or weight to them, which is really nice for paper crafts. So I'm just going to start this end and just put this right along this gingham binding. That. Little scissors and just trim that. First of all, I want to make sure that's even. What's great about these is you can move them until you burnish them down, and then they'll just really stick well. So if you find something's not straight, then you can absolutely just trim that. There we go. I like how that turned out. This one we can keep and add that to a little tag. I'm just going to sort of stick it over here. And then, let's see, we could add a little bow here, a little ribbon. I just have this little 1/8 inch grosgrain ribbon. Tie a quick little shoestring bow, like that. Just adding something just like that just gives it a little freshness that could go right up here. Here, where do we want to put that? I'm thinking like right there would be cute. And I'm just going to glue this down. You could use hot glue. All right, let that kind of grab on there. And then right here, I've added the word blessings, and I've used these little white tiny words and phrases dazzle stickers, also available at Paper Wishes. And I like to just pull these off using a little pokey tool, which is here somewhere. And I think we're going to go ahead and open this. Hope my bow doesn't fall off. And we can add these as we go. So, I mean, you can just words like happy and simple and just keeping things really basic, because you guys, I love giving away my projects to my subscriber friends, and I don't want to make this too themed so that they could do with it whatever they want. And as I'm just kind of finishing these things up, I'm just going to talk to you about that. So all you have to do is to participate in my weekly giveaway is be a subscriber to Lene Creates. So like, comment, and subscribe. And then you have to come back next week for next week's video. You may have noticed a little pop-up during this video, and that was announcing the winner from last week's video. So that's how that works, and then that one viewer then will claim their prize according to the rules and instructions that are given. And so if you're participating in this giveaway, you need to like, comment, and subscribe, and then watch next week's video. All right, so now we have all these little pockets to fill. So I have made some little tags like this that can just be tucked right in. And these are just little layered tags with the scraps of paper that we had. There's another one. Now on this one, I wanted to add a little something to that. So I have the little punch here. This is the 1.5 inch circle punch. And you could just take some of the border paper, and then you can sort of create your own little focals by just sort of focusing in with that circle punch and just adding that right there to the center. And I've got a little foam tape here. And that just creates a little embellishment where maybe you don't have one. Like that. And then that just gets placed right there, and the tag can kind of overlap. And here's another one. So for this one, this is the tag punch that I love using. You can find this in my Amazon store down below the video, just like all of the other punches that I've been using. And so to do one of these little layered tags, you want to cut, I've got my papers all stacked up here somewhere. You want to go ahead and take your little pieces of paper and scraps. This makes 1.5 inch, 2 inch, and 2.5 inch wide tags. All right, so this one, this little scrap, I cut to 2.5 inches. We're just going to thread that right in there. It just makes a really nice little scalloped edge. You throw this piece away. Here's a little circle punch, throw that away. And then you've got this one right here that is 2 inches. Same thing. And when you're dealing with something that's light, on the edge, I do like to put a little bit of just brown ink on the edge, just very softly. Makes it look, just stands out a little bit more, makes it a little more finished. And then you can layer them like this, but if it's too long, I mean, you can just take it and you can tear it. And then go back and ink that torn edge is really nice because then it shows up more. And then you can just place one right over the other. You can do the next layer, which is 1.5 inches wide, but I think I'm just going to do this 2-layer one. I put a little bit of glue on the top. And so now those are glued together. They're not going to separate. And then this just makes a great little thing to tuck there. And then you could either use ribbon for your tie, but I have this that I found at a thrift store. I have no idea what it is, but it's just this nubby brown thread that I love using. I have a feeling it's like upholstery thread or something. I don't know. Always check like the sewing things in the thrift store, the office supplies. You just never know what you're going to find. And I like doubling this because it is so fun. You could even do just 3 lengths as well. Tie it in a little bow. Ooh, I'm having trouble. Let's try it again. One of my tails is too short. There we go. And then we're just going to glue that right here. And then we can take the smaller punch. This is the little 1 inch. I'm going to do the same thing. Turn it over, and you could just make a really sweet little focal like that. And you can either glue or foam tape that. Let me grab another little piece of foam tape. And that's just how I make my little layered tags. You can make them up ahead of time. They're great to be making from scraps. And then you can just take one of these. So what should we add on here? How about, let's see, there's thinking of you, there's love. Let's just do love. And I like to put them on, if you put it on the white, it doesn't show up as much. But if we put it on a darker color, it does, it works great. And then you just find a little tuck spot to add that to. And then I have another one that I've made that says friend. Then I got to the very back. Excuse me. I got to the very back and I noticed this page looked awfully white, so we're going to just spruce it up a little bit. So I've just got a 1 inch strip by 1 by 4 inch strip of the gingham. It's just a little scrap I had left. We're going to put that right there. And then I had all those cutouts left over from the cutout page, and I'm going to tuck these inside too. But for this one, this would be great if we just glued it on 2 sides, just like this on the back. So it's only glued on this side, leaving the other side open. And then you've got a little tuck spot there. So you could put a little tag in here. Oh, it's a little 2. Put like something like that in there. And then at the top here, remember we have this pocket. You could put something like old photos to share. I know we just have boxes and boxes of these, but you guys, we've got to get them out of the house and we've got to share them. So I'm just going to put extra little tags and things in here that I have. And hopefully the winner can use these and embellish the little book however they want. I imagine this as being some kind of little journal. There's so many little things that you can do with this. There we go. Got another little gingham one. So you guys, tell me what you would do with this little journal. I had so much fun putting it together, and I think that it would make a great little journal to add little notes into the pockets, writing on the white part of the pages, including photos. Definitely a fun and easy one to make out of a simple file folder. So don't forget, if you want a chance at winning this, like, comment, and subscribe. I do this every week, every one of my videos. I make something with you guys and then we give it away. Thanks for joining me today, you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.